Huh? Hello, what do you want? What do you want? You want me to press a button for you? You want me to press a button for you, Mingo? Fuck you. Press it yourself.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pimp My Ride. Yeehaw, brother. So fucking stupid. These food delivery bots you see all over big urban areas nowadays blow ass. Look, I'm all for innovation that helps people do their jobs and makes their lives a little bit less shitty in the big 2026. But this is not that. This is the worst, most lackluster attempt at full-scale human replacement that clogs pre-existing infrastructure. This is big companies grabbing you by the balls, twisting it just a little bit for you to have a little whimper of pain, and then they whisper in your ear, "You're gonna be obsolete. And you're gonna like it." All just so some tech mogul can pay an extra $20 for an Erewhon smoothie so he doesn't have to walk 2 blocks down La Brea. Even worse than that though, is these companies that have daily brainstorm sessions on how to remove as many human paychecks from their company as possible don't even have the courtesy of doing their human replacement ploys good. These companies are genuine financial disasters, and the story of how we got where we are right now with these fucking food delivery bots is genuinely insane. We're talking millions of dollars ripped from the everyday person to fund these. But don't worry everyone. The economics do be trickling down though to us commoners. Because get this, DoorDash drivers have been getting requests for a few bucks to go and close a Waymo door.
DoorDash drivers, for a little help. There's a pilot program going on where Dashers get paid to close any doors on Waymo self-driving vehicles that may have been left open.
There's such a hole in their infrastructure that they're paying a DoorDash driver to go close a door. Yeah, you guys know those autonomous vehicles that were designing to destroy your livelihood? Yeah, go close its door, bitch. Yeah, go do a maintenance check and then kiss your overlord goodbye, and we'll throw you a few dollars for it, you two-legged air-breathing sack of shit. Now, the story of the food delivery robot gets pretty crazy from both a commercial and financial aspect, but before I can get into why they're the worst thing ever, we firstly gotta talk about why they exist. After eBay bought Skype in 2005, 2 of the co-founders of it were just sitting on millions of dollars for years, just burning a hole through their pocket. These guys could do anything they ever dreamed of. So, they did what the rest of us would have done. Create a robot food delivery service fleet mainly on college campuses and market them as an eco-friendly alternative to the human driver to prevent a PR backlash. So that's what they did. In 2015, Starship Technologies launched and were the genesis of the food delivery robot. And funny enough, are still the only company I know of to do it successfully. Their fleet of robots are made from low-cost, off-the-shelf parts because they're designed for very predictable, closed-off communities like a college campus. Because of this, they get away with using cheap parts and utilizing a high-tech software. But also by being first, they could essentially lobby specific areas to write laws favoring them. Because the sidewalk is a finite space, right? You can't just be tripping over these rolling mini fridges every time you step outside to be a functioning human. As much as I'm sure these companies would love that. But that's not enough. Surely there's a whole world of people out there just salivating at the mouth, waiting for a food delivery robot to push out another human interaction. Let's hypothetically say you're the CEO of some major food delivery company, and you see the successful business model on a very small scale that could potentially save your totally shitty, totally failing business, right? What do? You lay down and cry? Piss your pants a little? No, you attempt to make it a large-scale, city-conquering operation to maybe see a little money for once, right? So you can keep the piss out of your pants and into a toilet mate. So in 2017, Postmates, who already promised their investors that they would be profitable by now, by the way, quietly launches their X division to make a large-scale army of these bots, to eventually enact the plan of robot army takeover, but for now, it was just PR for the investors to eventually make it seem like, we'll be profitable soon, guys, we have a plan. It didn't work, they got bought out by Uber in 2020, and the X division is now the Serve Robotics robots you see everywhere today. And Serve had an even bigger vision than that, and at a certain point, put everything they had into the sidewalk robot, really believing it was the future. But the crazy part is, they are still grossly negative, even on this massive scale we're seeing today. Man. It's a good thing no one's dumb enough to invest in this thing that has literally zero track record of ever working, right? Right? NVIDIA was an early partner of the Serve Robotics family, all the way since it was Project X back in Postmates jurisdiction in 2017. But by 2022, it really started to ramp up the money and invest around $12 million into Serve. Now by 2024, they had over a 10% ownership in the company, and now were legally required to be ousted about their ownership around the time NVIDIA was receiving online praise of being an investment staple. And in July of 2024, they released an SEC filing making their ownership public. Now, the second the average investor saw an AI-powered robot and NVIDIA in the same sentence, They lost their fucking shit. It was game over. Serve's share price blew up 240% in that same day. Why? Because Nvidia has invested 10% in it. They must believe in these food delivery robots to do well in the future. However, plot twist, Nvidia never gave a single fuck about the food delivery robot. They were playing a completely unrelated game. They were invested in this company purely to essentially force them to use their Jetson AI chips so Nvidia could run a mass-scale data collection for their Isaac sim, or their program that they use to simulate robot brains in a virtual world. They were just in this company for a large-scale data test, not because they believed some burrito-wielding sidewalk robot was the future, but the average person didn't know that. Now this is the thing. Nvidia knew that they were a hot-ticket item. They knew that when they were forced to disclose their ownership, the stock would fly up, all because of their name. And by 2024, Nvidia already got what they wanted. They were already paid in the data they received and forced their hardware sales onto Serve. Once the stock flew up from $4 to $12, from investors trying to ride the hype, can you guess what happens? They sold immediately. Nvidia sells their shares from this piece of shit company immediately after the stock hits its peak price, after forcing them to buy their products, after using them as a data collecting operation, after then using their own name to pump up the price. Bam! Sells every single share they had, 0.0% ownership, after fucking over every single person but themselves. They legitimately pulled, completely legal mind you, a Logan Paul crypto scam on tech bros trying to ride their name for hype on a food delivery service robot company, losing $12 for every $1 it made. No bullshit. No bullshit. Nvidia legally rug pulled a food delivery service company, crashing Serve Robotics stock instantly, but they diluted, so we'll get into that later. Losing the average investor 60% of their investment, all while already running Serve's whole infrastructure on Nvidia hardware. Fucking insane, man. Well, it's a good thing Serve Robotics diluted some of their shares so they could walk away with some money. Well, after all that, where does that leave us now? Interestingly enough, Serve Robotics is still grossly overvalued, trading around $8 a stock for a company that reportedly brought in $2.7 million in revenue for an entire fiscal year, and a net loss, get ready, of $101 million. So after you heard those numbers, your reaction might have been, what are these guys, fucking lobotomites? How do they still have a company? How is there even still a stock to invest in? Did they really ever think they were going to be profitable? Well, not only are they still breathing, literally only because of the shares they diluted from the Nvidia hype, they are ramping up production of the sidewalk robots because of the 2000 promise to Uber. And hold on to your chair, sports fans, because this gets even crazier. In 2026, not only is Serve Robotics miles away from even being profitable, but are now marketing themselves as physical AI. They barely even bring up the food delivery shit anymore because the logistics of it suck. They have always sucked. The company behind these rolling coffins don't even believe in it, and they're everywhere. But that didn't stop them from LiDAR scanning every inch of public infrastructure anyway, while essentially scamming the individual person out of their investment. I thought this was an interesting tidbit here because, like I said, at one point, they did actually think this thing was going to work. The idea was this: if you're able to remove a human completely and successfully make the delivery cost of something $1 rather than 10, you can successfully change human behavior. The CEO of Serve once said, "People won't just order dinner. They will order a single cup of coffee, a pack of gum, or a fresh pair of socks multiple times a day." Well, now that you heard that philosophy, you're a little intrigued, right? Why didn't that pan out? That kind of makes sense, right? Why aren't they remotely even close to profitable? Because as it turns out, and this is still a little speculative, people who use the food delivery service are too elitist or spoiled to even fucking care. Apparently this business model is not only such a failure because the robots get stuck, they suck, they're slow, yada yada. It's because a large chunk of people who order from these services are so fucking convenience spoiled that if the thing only delivers the food, their utility drops to 0. They want the person, or the robot in this case, to not bring it 10 feet from their door so they don't have to get any sun that day. Matter of fact, they need somebody to enter their house, you know, pull up a chair, sit down beside their mom, greet their mom, how you doing? Start cutting up their food, take a bite, chew it up, and spit it into their fucking mouth. Also, they can get their Dorito Locos Tacos instantaneously when they want it, exactly when they deemed it so. Now, on top of that, though, the people who reside in areas that use these services don't care about saving fucking $3 on a tip, so a delivery robot can spend an hour trailing some mom and her kid in a stroller down Beverly Hills to finally get home? If you use food delivery services, you have money or are an idiot with a spending problem. It's those two people in 2026. I don't care what you say. These bots wouldn't be such a failure if they weren't just completely worse than a human in every way, regardless of if they save a few bucks to the consumer, because that's irrelevant to the people that use the apps. The sidewalk delivery robot ended up being a study on how even if you grift millions of dollars from tech bros from investments, you can still fail because of human behavior you wouldn't have even accounted for. And as we discussed, many people didn't. And not only that, but DoorDash already charges these people who can afford these outrageous prices a gazillion dollars for everything, and just finally started being profitable because they pivoted away from the small-scale orders, just like the delivery bots are trying to do now. The citywide delivery food robot system is a fucking nightmare, and food delivery for the individual is just not feasible yet. It fucking sucks. It takes any chance it can get to remove money from its consumers and its employees. It's just time to put these companies to bed, man. Unless. The DoorDash Dot was unveiled last year, and I found out about it from researching this video, and it actually looks pretty promising. If you can successfully get 1 million small Waymos on the street that weigh 300 pounds and can go 20 miles an hour to deliver somebody's food, I can see why humans are getting pushed out, right? Because that's just the future. You can't fight the future no matter how hard you try, because people are just going to do the cheapest and most convenient thing every time. This is America, not place that cares about you, cuh. But at the very least, I mean, even though it's totally a service that you look at, and it's like, man, how the fuck is anyone gonna work anymore? At least the idea conceptually makes sense. Unlike the sidewalk vermin. I mean, seriously, I'd rather have my food delivered by a wheelchair-bound toddler than a fucking sidewalk, because at least I'm giving my money to someone who needs it, right? Well, actually, on that thought, Serve definitely needs my money too, so for Serve's dying for some money right now. Scratch that argument, you know? Also, drones. Food drones. Yeah, drones in the sky. Yeah, come on. That beats that shit. Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely end up killing a kid when one inevitably falls out of the sky from being low charge or needs maintenance or whatever. And the whole hogging the airspace problem. They're probably loud. Weight capacity is a big issue there. Yada yada. But come on. Like, the idea makes sense. A drone hovering 30 feet in the air, flying a mile to your house, would take like 3 seconds, not like 45 minutes and covered in some homeless guy's urine, you know? But I think, to close, the greatest fallacy of these sidewalk-bound robots is they're just not good at what they do. In a time where instant gratification is king, these robots are only around right now on such a massive scale because of this company riding funds from a rug pull scheme devised by a different company that has an actual future, because the future of this one is reliant on a class of people that are wholly unsatisfied with the food delivery robot because it's a piece of shit and what I now consider a scam. It's a scam. They trick their investors by promising them the future, and now they're not even discussing food delivery right now. In my opinion, autonomous electric vehicles are the future, whether we like it or not. 30, 40 years from now, I feel like that's all you're gonna see. Fortunately for us though, it's still early enough in the century for us to get to laugh at the bad ones. Well, this video has definitely been long enough. Thank you for listening to me yap. Screw Serve though, that idea fucking sucked. Screw DoorDash and related delivery apps because they take over any chance they get to screw you over. And I guess screw the entitled ass people that use the app. You know, unless you're like disabled, of course, then by all means, you know, you need the food delivered where you need it. But for a healthy person that has too much money, just go outside, bro. I promise the sun on your peptide-infused skin will thank you. See you guys.